Have you ever felt like you still have so much to offer, but you're just not sure where or how to begin? That life has given you experience, time, and willingness, but also a certain silence when it comes to new possibilities? It's not uncommon that, as the years go by, routine settles in, invitations become fewer, and the feeling of being useful quietly fades, almost without us noticing. But that doesn't mean you're alone. Quite the opposite. Many older adults share the same feeling, the desire to stay active, to contribute, to be part of something meaningful. There is indeed a genuine desire to belong, to a group, to a cause, to an exchange that fills the heart and honors the life story each person carries. Aging doesn't have to mean stepping away from the world. In many communities across Brazil and around the globe, initiatives are being created by people just like you, who chose not to wait for opportunities, but to create them. These are spaces where individual talents come together, where support is mutual, and where no one is left behind. This video is an invitation to look at what you can live, give, and build with fresh eyes and alongside others from your generation. Together, we'll explore real stories, practical ideas, and possible paths to turn this desire to belong into reality. Because deep down, that's what we all truly want. To keep being part of something. When life becomes too quiet. For many people, aging brings a welcomed calm. Fewer commitments, more free time, a gentler pace. But that same calm, when it stretches on too long and lacks direction, can turn into a heavy silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of absence. Absence of connection, invitations, and belonging. This feeling doesn't arrive suddenly. It creeps in slowly, in the gap left by a phone call that never happened, a family lunch postponed, or that quick chat at the bakery that no longer takes place. Without realizing it, the person who once felt part of the community begins to feel pushed to the margins of the life going on outside. There's something even more subtle in all of this. This exclusion isn't always visible. Often, the older adult still has family, lives comfortably, and enjoys stable health, but feels a kind of social invisibility, not due to anyone's ill will, but because of a structure that doesn't support full participation in community life. The result is a loneliness that doesn't show up in photos, but is deeply felt in the heart. The lack of structured social spaces where older adults can be active and valued is a real challenge. Some want to help but don't know how. Others want to be useful, but can't find where. And so many talents, stories, and affections are left aside, right at the point in life when they could flourish more deeply. But there is a way out. One that doesn't depend on big institutions or perfect public policies. One born from a simple, human, and powerful principle: mutual support. When we recognize ourselves in others and decide to walk together, the silence begins to dissolve, and meaning starts to return. The power of mutual support. When life feels too quiet, sometimes all we need is a simple gesture. An invitation to talk, a shared task, an idea reborn in a group. That's where the power of mutual support comes in. A concept that goes far beyond helping and being helped. It's about creating spaces where everyone has something to offer and something to receive. In local initiatives and senior groups, this becomes a reality. These are places where exchange is at the center, where someone teaches embroidery, another learns how to use a cell phone, and everyone feels valued. where resume, status, or age don't matter. Only the living presence of each person. Mutual support transforms the mindset of lack into one of abundance. Instead of focusing on what's missing, we begin to see what we already have. Time, knowledge, stories, generosity, and the desire to build something together. And surprisingly, it is from these riches that the most beautiful projects arise. You don't need big structures. Often, it all starts with a conversation on a park bench or a group chat on a phone. Suddenly, reading circles, community gardens, memory workshops, group walks, and visits to those living alone appear. Each gesture strengthens the bond between people. And little by little, the feeling of belonging returns. This kind of initiative also breaks the idea that aging means decline or passive waiting. On the contrary, it's a declaration of strength, autonomy, and continuity. It's a way of telling the world and yourself, I'm still here, and I want to be part of it. And the most beautiful thing is that when one person takes the first step, others follow. Mutual support is contagious. It inspires, moves, and transforms. Because when a group forms based on trust and genuine exchange, it becomes a space for healing, growth, and shared joy. You might be wondering, but does this really work? The answer lies in the stories of those who have already experienced this transformation up close. And that's what we're going to talk about now. When life reinvents itself, there is something deeply human about hearing stories of quiet resilience, those that don't make newspaper headlines, but completely transform the small worlds of those who live them. This is what happens when mutual support stops being an abstract idea and becomes part of everyday life. Below are 3 stories that show how life can indeed reinvent itself, even after 60, 70, or 80. Mrs. Mary and the Word Club. Mary is 72 years old, has lived alone since her husband passed away, and for a long time felt her house was too big and life too small. A retired teacher, she has always loved literature but hadn't discussed a book with anyone in years. One day, she wrote a handwritten note and posted it in the building's lobby. Reading group for mature women, bi-weekly meetings, no rush or pressure, only with affection. 4 neighbors showed up at the first meeting. Today there are 18 women. The group, which started with poetry, became a space for sharing life stories, recipes, tears, and advice. We come for the book, but stay for the people, says Maria. What she didn't expect was how revived, useful, and deeply connected she would feel with other women who also needed to be heard. Mr. John and the grandchildren of the Heart Garden. At 68, John went to live with his daughter after hip surgery. He spent weeks bedridden, feeling like he was more of a burden than help. One day, looking at the vacant lot behind the house, he asked to start a garden. His daughter thought it was a good idea, and the grandchildren helped. Soon neighborhood kids began to come by, curious. John had an idea: create a teaching garden. Today, every Wednesday afternoon, the lot fills with laughter. John teaches about seeds, patience, caring for the soil and people. He earned the nickname Grandpa of the Street, and more than that, regained the sparkle in his eyes. I never imagined teaching what I learned on the farm would be so important to these city kids. Collective Restart. A chain of care. In a small town, a group of seniors came together to do something different. Visit other seniors in vulnerable situations. Thus, the Collective Restart was born. They organize weekly visits, bring supplies, talk, listen, and hug. What stands out most is that they don't see themselves as volunteers, but as peers. I am cared for every time I care for someone else, says Dorothy, 76. Some of them also live alone, but found in this collective a reason to get out of bed with purpose. Over time, other town residents began contributing, forming an intergenerational network born from the heart of the elderly community. These stories have something in common. They didn't start with big ideas or funding. They started with will, with the understanding that even without formal structure, much can be done. And that no one needs to wait to be invited to be part of life. Sometimes, it's us who invite. If something stirred inside you hearing these stories, it's a sign you carry that strength within yourself too. Now maybe you're wondering, what if I wanted to live something like this? What could I do? Benefits that go beyond socializing. When we talk about initiatives like those of Marissa, Jorge, and the Rikamakar Collective, it's easy to be captivated by their stories. But what might surprise you is realizing that the benefits go far beyond social interaction. These are transformations that touch the body, mind, and spirit, and often emerge in subtle yet profound ways. Studies show that participating in community activities can significantly reduce symptoms of depression in older adults, improve sleep quality, stimulate memory, and even strengthen the immune system. But scientific data only confirms what many already intuitively know. When life has meaning, the body responds gratefully. There is a sparkle in the eyes of those who feel useful, a more upright posture, a more frequent smile, a renewed energy to wake up in the morning. Daily exchange, even if just a brief conversation, a caring gesture, or a shared task, activates the most vital part of us, the feeling that we are still an active part of the world around us. Social engagement also restores something essential for aging with dignity, identity. In a society that often associates old age with loss, participating in a group where you are recognized for what you know, do, and feel returns your sense of personal value. It's a way to reaffirm, I still matter. I still count. And these benefits don't only apply to the older adult who participates. Communities that open themselves to this presence gain maturity, empathy, wisdom, and social cohesion. Everyone wins. Everyone grows stronger. Realizing this makes it easier to understand that mutual support is not just a charitable gesture. It's a way of life. A path that reactivates the senses, embraces vulnerabilities, and enhances everything that can still blossom in later life. And if all this is possible, how do you take the first step? Start where you are. If up to this point you've felt an inner calling, a desire to participate, create, reconnect, then perhaps the most important question now is, where do you begin? The good news is that you don't need to wait for a big opportunity, an official invitation, or resources you don't have. In fact, the starting point is right there, where you are now. Mutual support begins with a simple attitude. Looking around and noticing who else might be feeling the same as you. It could be that neighbor who lives alone at the end of the hall. The gentleman from the street above, who's almost always standing quietly by the gate. Or even that acquaintance from the walking group who only shows up occasionally. Sometimes, a conversation is all it takes to spark a connection. Here are some practical ideas, simple, real, and doable. Create a WhatsApp group with people your age, giving it a welcoming name like Sharing Ideas or Living Well. Use it to exchange recipes, arrange meetups, and share stories. Suggest a community coffee gathering. Pick a park bench, bring a thermos, and invite 2 or 3 people for a chat. Good ideas often start this way. Informal, warm, and genuine. Look for existing spaces, churches, cultural centers, public schools, neighborhood associations. Many of these places are open to new ideas, and you could be the missing link. Offer what you know how to do. Sewing, gardening, computer skills, reading, cooking, music. Somewhere, someone would love to learn from you. Ask your children or grandchildren to help spread the word on social media. Sometimes a small post reaches just the right people. Don't worry about perfection. What matters most is consistency and kindness. Start small. Grow gently. Many initiatives that are now well known began with half a dozen chairs in a circle and a genuine desire to connect. What counts is creating a space where everyone feels safe to be themselves and free to contribute however they can. And remember, you're not alone in this quest. There is a whole generation of mature people wanting the same things as you: affection, listening, welcoming, and belonging. Sometimes, all it takes is for someone to step up. Why not you? If you've made it this far, it means you carry this seed inside you. And maybe, just maybe, this is the right moment to plant it. It's never too late to belong. Throughout this video, we've seen how mutual support can rekindle the sparkle in the eyes, turn silence into conversation, and loneliness into community. But more than that, we've seen that belonging is not just a stage of life, it's an ongoing need. And yes, it's never too late to rediscover that place of belonging. Maybe you're going through a pause, a new beginning, or a search. Maybe you've faced losses, changes, or simply that strange feeling that life has slowed down too much. But that doesn't mean the best is behind you. It just means a new chapter can begin, and this time, written together. No matter your age, energy level, or social background, what matters is the willingness to open up to others. The world is craving real experiences, true listening, and sincere connections. And that's exactly what mutual support initiatives provide. Purposeful encounters where every story is welcome, every talent is recognized, and every presence is missed. If you're wondering whether it's worth trying, consider this. You're not just filling your time, you're giving it meaning. You're not just helping others, you're strengthening yourself. You're staying fully alive. And that in itself is revolutionary. At the end of this video, maybe you can take a small step. Send a message. Invite someone for coffee. Set out 2 chairs on the sidewalk and wait. Beginnings are never grand, but they are always meaningful. And if this video touched you in some way, share it. Someone around you might need to hear this message. Maybe you don't know it yet, but your gesture today could be someone's new beginning tomorrow. Because when we make room for others, we make room within ourselves. And that's where the magic happens. Mutual support isn't a project. It's a way of life. And life, after all, is always better together.